upcoming videos that we're going to do. Every note played. I don't know why I'm holding my hands like every note played. And Crow Killer, Plague Dogs, and the third book in the Court series. Future YouTube video reviews. This time, we're talking about A Court of Mist and Fury. You guys can put your books down. Which is the second book in the Court series. So, follow-up video. Synopsis. Who wants to do it? Who's read it the latest?
Me, I think. In the synopsis, I'm going to assume you've read the first one because you can't jump in on the second one. You got to start with the first. Else, nothing makes sense.
I'll add a link to our first video below. You can see that one. Boom.
And then, disclaimer, I'm hoping to not give any spoilers away, but shit happens. So, okay. So we left off with Feyre, the main girl, going home to Spring Court with Tamlin. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, I love you, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Everything's perfect. And in the first book, she'd made a deal with the night court guy to go hang out with him 1 week a month for the rest of her life or something like that. So this next book is basically follows that 1 week of her life and how all the character dynamics change, interact, and deal with the fact that she is with Tamlin, but she's got to go spend a week. And then you basically learn a lot about how the world was created, and you learn more about who's ruling where, their specific powers. And I guess you learn a lot more about like everyone's childhood and upbringing and how they got to where they are. And that's basically it without giving anything away, right?
Well, I think you can give a little bit away because they said at the end of book 1 what her intentions were going to the night. It's been a year since I read this book, so I don't know. But didn't they say her intentions? Going back to the Spring Court? At the end of the first one, right?
Like, she basically accepted that she was going to go, but learn as much as she could while she was
She's
there.
like a spy.
Yeah.
So she's going to gather information from the Spring Court. So
every time she goes to spend her 1 week a month, when she comes back, she basically debriefs to Spring Court or like to Tamlin and gives all the information that she possibly can. But this gets super intricate as the book goes on and clever, I guess.
I would say that
stuff starts unfolding. There's a new major villain because the one lady died.
Mm-hmm. And King of Hyrule was introduced at the end of the first book with the cauldron and whatnot. But I would also say that it was not perfect when she was with Tamlin. Like, Feyre was really struggling with some of the things that she did while under the mountain. And internally, like, she has a lot of conflicting feelings about a lot of things. And she's super struggling, but Tamlin, the dynamic there is kind of interesting.
And
I find it interesting because it goes into a lot about like mental health and stuff. It's a very heavy like topic, I feel like, in this book.
She's now immortal. So she has like the mental struggle with that, and like her sister, the sister dynamic is still there, and like they're still regular people. And she's now immortal, so they have to like navigate that. And they obviously live in the human world, which they're not really welcomed across either direction, so they have to like kind of navigate that. And Nesta is still kind of rude.
Mm-hmm. True. Okay, ratings. What would you give it, Liz?
This is my favorite book. This is like my favorite book out of the series. 5 out of 5. they're all 5 out of 5, but this one's a little bit higher than the rest.
A 5 out of 5. Awesome.
Okay.
Kelly?
A. Definitely A. 5 out of 5. 10 out of 10.
Like it more than the first book?
Yeah. Because you know I'm a big fan of Reese since the day in the woods.
Yeah.
I give it an A, but I will say I think the third's my favorite. But I still give it an A.
Would you read it again?
I probably should have before this review.
Andrea?
I would give it an A+ or 5 because I've already like reread parts of it. This
You
one's
just read it.
my favorite of the series.
You like the second one the best.
Yeah.
Feel
And
like
third is my second favorite.
I feel like we should only have Liz or Andrea on here because we don't really need you both. You rate it
We're very similar.
same one, like it's your favorite of the series. You could just be the same. Well, I would also do an A because I will read it again. I'm already forgetting some details and I would reread it.
What was your favorite of the series, Madeline?
Book 5. Love it.
I'm halfway through it, but I do really like it. I've started picking up my pace a little bit.
Okay, I cannot wait to do that review. One thing I'll say why I like book 5 more is I think, and Liz told me this term, I told her a big long story about why I felt this way, and then she just said, oh yeah, it's because of character development. So yes, that's why. Whereas I feel like this series is more of a story and like you're following a character versus book 5 is like true character development throughout the whole thing.
I thought you just liked 5 the best because it was the smuttiest.
I also agree with that. Okay, spoilers. Let's do it because that's more fun.
Okay, so with the spoilers, end of book 1, she goes home with Tamlin. Okay, and then they're in the wedding, and Reese just winnows, even though he hasn't picked her up for her weeks in what they said like 3 months, and he winnows in during the wedding, and
Why?
like, hello, it's time for your week, and she has to go. And secretly, she likes it because she does not want to marry Tamlin. And the whole time in her head, walking down the aisle, she's like, no, 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 no.
Full-blown, she was having like a full-blown panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's like, someone save me. Anyone save me.
Right? Mostly because of an aunt too, right? Frey was like, I hate red. We can't do red. It like reminds me of blood. I have like PTSD. And an aunt's like, red flowers everywhere.
Yeah. You like
I wanted to kill her from the moment she entered the story. I hate it.
I didn't like her from day one.
I was gonna ask, like, who all got a bad vibe from that girl right away?
I did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the first time Madeline was reading it? Like, as soon as an aunt came in, she messaged Courtney and I, and she's like, what's up with this blonde bitch? I don't trust her.
Seriously. Bad vibes from the beginning. I will say that Sarah J. Maas tricked me with Tamlin. I liked him in the first book. But then as soon as she started being with Reese more, I was like, oh yes, Team Reese. Even though I didn't fully trust him until like more of the end of this book, I was very unsure, but I was still like, Tamlin's a douchebag for sure.
So I saw Reese in the woods, and I was like, I don't care if he's evil. Let's join evil side. Like, I had no problem. I was like, yeah, he's the bad one. But I'm like, we could be the bad one together. I have no problem with this.
Anyone else have concerns about Kelly just wandering off with strange men?
Yes.
I have no concerns with this, like, at all.
Also, a good thing to point out that I know is talked about on the internet a lot is the fact that Reese, when he winnows, he usually winnows like silently, like he's like stealthy, right? But he was anything but that at the wedding, right? I forget how they described it because it was a year ago, but wasn't it like a big production?
Boulders clashing together, and like rocks and shit, and he was like, oh, hello. Oh, don't mind me. Like, oh, did I disturb something?
I love that because like he can be silent, right? But he decided instead, like, I'm gonna be an asshole today, and I'm just gonna make a bigger deal.
He also talks about how he was so nervous later on, like in the middle of the book. He talks about how he was so nervous that day, and then he almost forgot what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I remember, and I don't know if it's this book or another one, so maybe Madeline has to edit this out. But at one point he was talking about like he was like so upset that Feyre was getting married. He had plans with Cassian to go get like blackout drunk that day.
Oh yeah.
Like he's like, I'm not good, which is like I understand. Like I'd do that too.
Majority of this book, majority of it, I mean it's a pretty long book. Majority of this book, you hear about Rhys's perspective and like his feelings towards Feyre and like his feelings in general about everything, and you learn a lot about the system of marriage and mating and like how they're like how this realm perceives love and all that stuff, and how they're raised as children, how they're trained, where the divisions are in their sort of class system, the social norms and all that stuff. And then you learn that they have a cool bond that they can talk through an arm. And you learn about the mating bond, and he just turns out to be like the best guy ever. And all Tamlin did was like on the second to last day of a curse was like, I love you, have fun at your sister's, bye. Like 0 effort.
Yeah, Tamlin sucks.
Sure. I don't think he's like bad. I just think he's like the weaker male.
But I mean, how frustrating was it when Rhys was describing Feyre after like going to pick her up for the weeks, and she was like getting skinnier and skinnier and like bags under her eyes and all, like Tamlin didn't seem to care about any of that.
I think he cared, I don't know, about her, but like he can't like let her live. He's just like, oh, we're finally together, I'm gonna keep her. And like it reminds me of Lenny, like from Of Mice and Men, like I love this puppy so much I'm gonna squeeze it, and then it dies. Like
it's a rabbit.
Whatever. I just thought it was a bird.
How you defend Tamlin and Kellen.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think
who else would we describe as Lenny recently?
Kellen. Like your friend here, Kelly.
I'm just saying, like, he's not the worst thing ever. I just think he's kind of like a little baby back bitch.
Well, she's like puking every night, and he's just like fake sleeping. And then she goes to night court, and Rhys is like
just like
patting her back and shit, and Tamlin's just like fake sleep.
He's just like I don't know. He's just like a pushover, doesn't want to deal with anything real. He wants it his way. He can't like compromise with other people. Like he's set in his way. I don't know. He's just kind of a waste of time when it comes to like being mated or a husband or something. But
I think we talked.
He's very like emotionally immature. And I also thought it was interesting how he keeps like Feyre locked up. Like, hey, I know when you were a human, I let you do all this shit and save my entire race under the mountain from like the evil queen lady. But now that you're immortal, things are too dangerous, and I'm gonna need you to stay inside. Like that's weird.
I don't like hate him because of the book, like other things he does, but yeah, he sucks.
You know what annoys me about him the most is every time something doesn't go his way, he like destroys the house. Like, oh my god. Like they're always like, the curtains were shredded, and I'm like, what a crybaby. What? Okay.
Tamlin needs to go to therapy for his anger.
A little bit. Like,
he needs some coping mechanisms.
I was over like I'm in regards to this book, I hated Tamlin.
Yeah.
You know, in book 2 I hated him, but overall he has some redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a few good things.
He's not a bad guy, but he's not someone you wanna.
He needs to mature.
He's like detached from everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You don't want to be what, Courtney? You don't want to like marry Tamlin?
I was gonna say have a mating bond with him.
Would you decline the mating bond, Courtney, if it was with Tamlin?
I would not serve him food.
When he'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna eat by myself over here.
Sound of utensils just irritates me. I'm gonna eat by myself.
He'd be like,
Courtney would never serve
You're like,
anyone
yeah.
food.
What if he like started eating the soup and was like
And he'd be like, no more soup for you.
Or he clinks his teeth on the silverware.
I will say one of the places, if it was a city, I would just die to go to is Valeris. And, like, after reading this, it just sounds perfect. Like, kind of a European city.
You know Tamlin's a noisy eater. He has to be. Like, come on. No one's that big of a baby and doesn't eat noisily. Like, I'm just saying.
I feel like he eats every meal like it's his last meal, you know, like the kind of people that like hunker down.
You know who I'm thinking of is the Beast when he's like,
yeah.
And he's like slurping the soup.
and she's like, oh.
It's official. Courtney would kill him.
Ruins the West Wing.
And he ruins the West Wing every time he like slices painting. Like, oh my God, like grow up, dude. Oh boy.
He is the Beast.
And then you have Reese, who has all these like cool friends too, and you know.
I'm curious, Kelly, which friend is your favorite right now?
Okay, so something just happened. I'm in book 3. Something just happened, and I'm coming around to AZ. What is his name? I call him AZ all the time.
Asriel?
Asriel. I'm coming around to him, but I kind of like them all. They're all kind of serve their own purpose, but something just happened, and I was like, oh, he's so cute.
I like the dynamic of the friends group.
Mm-hmm.
They sound like fun.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
And I love how you find out little bits and pieces of them throughout the book.
Like how they're all connected and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite villain is still the Weaver.
Ew.
I
After
like
this
Bob
book,
Carter. What, Liz?
I loved the Cyril after this book.
Me too.
Yeah.
Go back to your mate. And she's like, what?
Is that how you say it? I always call it a
I
cereal.
say cereal.
Okay, I do too.
Surreal. Yeah.
I like that one too. Especially when it outed that they were mates.
Oh yeah.
There are lots of good cereal memes out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people like the cereal.
Mm-hmm. I thought one of my favorite parts of this book was when Reese was talking about how he basically knew Feyre before he knew Feyre, and would send her like images of the Night Kingdom. That was one of my
that what I couldn't remember what book it was in, but that was one of my favorite parts probably of the series, is when it talks about all those things and how she would draw the
night,
like, some stars and stuff on like in her cottage.
Mm-hmm.
That was so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And like when he met her the first time at Spring Court, like he just wanted to know her name because like he had like seen her before, but he didn't know her. Yeah, Liz, I guess, decided that she was just done with book.
I bet whatever she was on died.
Oh my God.
That's usually what happens.
Liz, did your phone die?
She got back too fast for it to have died, I think.
Hi, sorry. Brian just kept calling.
Is he okay?
And I felt like he wasn't going to stop. He's fine. He's just driving home from the grocery store. And I was like, I'm on book club. That's how he answered the phone. And he says, I don't care. And he's like, just kidding. I'll see you when I get home. My favorite part of the whole book, okay, my favorite line is when they're like, towards the end, and Feyre went back and she pretended like the mating bond was broken and all this stuff. And Reese is like, she's not my spy. She's the High Lady of the Night Court. And I thought that was awesome.
I loved that twist to the book too.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I like that they didn't show it to us ahead of time, that they like kind of like revealed it to us later and then kind of did like flashback, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that I could have, read the book and figured out she was High Queen there, but someone sent me a meme that of Courtney.
Courtney.
Did I? sent me a picture, a meme of, it was a hilarious meme of Feyre getting like a high lady status.
Is it the Blair Waldorf one?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
That was fun, but
I like how the author did like tied all these little things together, especially with Reese and the stars on the dresser and stuff like that, and the dreams and all that stuff.
looking
I
back,
like how like I also like how tying back to that one part, right? Is Tamlin's always like, there's no such thing as high ladies. And then Reese like, and then it's like Reese's idea to like make her high lady, and I'm like, that's adorable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's the best. He knew it from the woods.
But Kelly, you know he's Hades, right?
That looks kind of ruined the
We have
image.
not told Kelly that yet.
No, Andrea, you should talk about this because I think it 100% makes sense.
Okay, so I somehow figured this out. I don't know. I was probably looking at fan art or memes or something. But this is actually a retell, like Beauty and the Beast is a retell of the first one. This is a retell of the love life between Hades and Persephone.
I like it. Because in Greek mythology, she has to leave spring, right? Because she's the goddess of spring, and go to the underworld for like a set amount of time, right?
Mine,
like
Now I just imagine, isn't he the guy in like
Hercules with the blue hair.
yeah, like the same hair, but he's like kind of bald. Now Reese's hair is gonna be fire hair. Thank you. And you know how they're always like his blue black hair.
Yeah.
Shit.
I think that's cool.
I
Is
think
there,
That's awesome.
is there
I
something
loved
for the third book? A parallel?
No, I should look that up because I was curious.
Now I'm gonna have a crush on Hades.
Do we know that the first one was intended to be based off of Beauty and the Beast, or was there just a lot of like similarities that we've noticed?
I think we just assumed, but I never actually looked that up because I looked the other one up because I was like, what? And I totally looked it up.
There's
But
a lot of similarities in that one.
Mm-hmm.
they even look the same. They have like horns and
Mhm.
a blonde, like beastly guy.
tears everything apart.
Yeah.
And he has to like
Love.
convince her to fall in love, to break a spell.
He lets her go right before the spell could be broken, and then all of his servants are like, no. And then he like shreds rooms.
And Kelly's like, I love Gaston.
I totally would have fallen for that in Beauty and the Beast too. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I were Belle, I would have just married Gaston in like the first 10 minutes, and like there would have been no story.
That's why there's never been a movie about Liz.
I just bad guy off the bat.
He's like, he's here.
Yeah, he's good at hunting. I won't go hungry.
He's quite the intimidating specimen, you know.
Yeah, I like his songs. It's fun.
I like his songs. They're catchy.
Gaston has the best song in that whole movie. Like, you won't convince me otherwise.
I do like Tale as Old as Time though as well too.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's more pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting off track. Well, there you have it, A Court of Mist and Fury. We would highly recommend it, 5 out of 5 for all book club, which the only other one who ever scored that high was A Court of Thorns and Roses, book 1. So